gap, la la la. Wait. Hi, hello, and welcome. Hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Shelly Fernandez, and this is my YouTube channel where I sew things. So today, this is gonna be I'm gonna try to make this a tutorial. We'll see how I do. I don't really have this scripted out, so I got a comment. I'll put the comment up here, asking me to do kind of a tutorial on how I drape and pattern my pieces. So that's what I'm gonna do today. But yeah, let's just get into this video. Before we get into draping or anything, let's talk about dress form wise. I'll link where I got my dress form from. It's kind of pricey. When I was thinking about buying it, I was more of like, oh, this is gonna be an investment into my sewing if I get this. And yeah, I'm glad I did. It helps me a lot, and I still have a lot to learn, but I've learned a lot with having this. If you're like a beginner, I would not go invest like $300-$400 on this type of dress form. The only reason I was kind of like, oh, maybe I should get a dress form is because I did an internship, and then in the internship she showed me how to drape on a mannequin and how that kind of works. So I was like, I feel like if I would get it, I would get use out of it. There are cheaper dress forms out there. I would start with those. That's just my opinion. But if you want to go full force, this is a good dress form. Link down in the description. Yeah. Oh, also another idea, you could make your own dress form. There's a bunch of patterns, tutorials out in the internet that you could use to make your own dress form. Let's talk about this dress form. Okay, so this is the dress form. When looking for a dress form, I feel like I've said this before, but I measured myself, and then I try to find dress form measurements that would fit me the best. It's not gonna be perfect, so keep in mind, if you are getting a dress form, unless you get a custom one to your body or make a custom one to your body, the measurements probably aren't gonna be the same. So you are gonna have to alter all of your pieces to yourself if you did a dress form. Unless your measurements are perfect, which I wish. It would make things so much easier. But yeah, that's also another thing with dress forms. Okay, so for draping wise, I use these style lines as guides of how many panels or where I would want them to be. With that, let's get into actually draping and me talking about that. Okay, let's get into step one. I'm gonna take these off because they're kind of annoying whenever I'm draping. I don't really need them. Step one is draping out the style lines. When I drape out the style lines, I use this super thin black tape. It's kind of like washi tape, but not. I got this at Hobby Lobby. I'll link it down in the description. That's only the place I could find it. You could probably get this also off Amazon. It's really thin, and it's just, tape that isn't gonna also stain your dress form whenever you use it. Because that was also, when I was looking up tapes, it was also a concern of people's. But this one works really well. It's easy to take off and put on and stuff. But yeah, before you even get into doing the style line, make sure you have some type of sketch drawn up or something, unless you want to do it freehand by free designing by doing the design by memory, which is also kind of fun. But yeah, I have a sketch. Let's get that out. Y'all, this tutorial is kind of all over the place. Okay, I'll put her up there. Yeah, having something to go off with is helpful, so oh, this is where I wanted the style lines to go. This is how I wanted this to go, Have that out while you're draping and everything, so you can just look back at it and make sure everything looks the way you want it to be. So when you're actually going into adding the style lines, you don't need to add the style lines to the whole dress form, just because the pattern will mirror onto the other side. Unless one of your sides are different, you're gonna have to pattern the whole thing. When I mean by sides, this is the middle, this is one side, this is the other side. This can mirror onto this one. If you've watched my other videos, most of the time I only pattern out one side, and then I use this one side pattern and I cut two of everything to make a whole corset or something like that, if that makes sense. The only time I really didn't do the whole only patterning on one side is when I did my Met Gala inspired look. I had to drape that whole thing because there was something that wouldn't allow me to mirror it. It would, you know, I don't know. You know, like it wouldn't allow me to mirror the whole pattern. We're gonna keep this simple and we're only gonna do one side of this. I hope I'm explaining this right. Also, another tool I would have on hand would just be like scissors. Okay, let's get into actually draping this. Okay, so I hope this is working, guys. Okay, so where I start first, I usually start with the neckline, how I want the neckline to be and get that perfected. The photo is kind of like a heart-shaped neckline. So this is the center kind of ish. I think I'm gonna bring it a little bit down to like here and bring her. Bro, see, I'm just really trying to get it the way I want it to look. So in my videos, a lot of the time I kind of like speed up the process when I'm editing, just because it literally, my videos would be 3 hours long if I didn't do that, because of literally how much time it takes to do everything. We're really trying to get that bra shape look. So I'm just gonna follow the guidelines of this corset it already has down here. Let's see, I don't really like this. It's too sticking up way too much. See, a lot of this is like putting the tape on, stepping back, looking how it is, adjusting, putting the tape on, stepping back, adjusting. It's very time consuming, but I love it. I love it, I love it. Why does it look a bit awkward? Oh, I understand. And she has to come this way. There we go. That looks so much better. Now I'm thinking, do I want to split this into 3 or do I just want to keep that 2, you know? Oh, that's better. This being wider is so much better. So I'm just gonna follow the style lines on this and just like show you guys how, like a basic corset with no like twists and turns or whatever. So we go from the midsole down here. Oh, it feels so mystical. Why is Benson Boone? Why is Miss Boone in my mind right now? From the midsole, yeah, we're gonna bring her down. We're trying to keep it as straight as possible to the style lines. I'm gonna just bring this down pretty far, but that's not how I want like the waistline to be yet. Like that's probably not how far I want it to be. I'm just bringing that down so I don't have to keep adding on to it. And we're just gonna follow the style lines down. Bruh. See, I love this tape, I really do. But if you touch it if you touch the stickiness way too much, it starts to like fall apart. And I'm like, girl, let's cooperate, please. But if I'm editing this and nothing makes sense, I'm not gonna post it. But if you're seeing this, hopefully it helps. Okay, now we got we got 1 panel down here, period. Let's move on to the next one. Now we're moving into the back. The back again, we're only gonna do one side. Personally, me, I always start with the neckline, the back line, the top, or whatever it's called. Starting from where I ended here, so like where I ended this neckline, I'm going to extend it out. I don't sketch out the backs of my drawings. I should, but I don't. So this is usually when I figure out like, oh, do I want this to be like a deep, do I want it to be a D cup down? Do I want it to be kind of like in the middle? Like, do I want it to be like a V type, you know? Let's keep it basic and simple. I'm just gonna bring it down to like basically where the middle is, the middle point of the back is. So we're gonna start where I ended the neckline from the side panel, extend it out. Okay, see, I don't like that. We're gonna bring her down more. Okay, period. This is what the tape looks like, the packaging I'm using. Again, it'll be linked down in the description. So this is the center back line, we're gonna get her as straight as possible. Period. Okay, so yeah, this is the style lines. Okay, this was step 1, style lines. And now that, oh wait, we're not done yet. Hold on. I literally, girl, slow down. Savannah, slow down. The very last thing, I obviously have to figure out the bottom, how I want it to be. In the picture, it looks like it's just like a straight U-ish line. So let's just do that. It's pretty simple. Again, I'm literally just gonna put the tape on, put it on, and then adjust how I want it to be until it looks the way I like it. Now we have a Z waistline. Now, step 2, we're going to be draping the fabric onto the mannequin dress form to get the patterns actually out of this styling. Okay, so actually draping up the fabric, the things you're going to need scissors, you're going to need some type of fabric, you're going to need like muslin or a type of fabric that's kind of like muslin, just something, a stiff fabric that doesn't have a lot of stretchiness to it. You should be good. The last thing you would need is pins, a lot of pins. But yeah, okay, let's get started. I'm gonna try my best to explain my process and like how I'm doing this. You're gonna take the fabric. See, I don't need this whole thing, so I'm just gonna cut a piece out that will be big enough to like use. So honestly, you don't want it too small to where you can't do anything with it, but you don't want it too big. Okay, so we have this long rectangle. You're gonna place it just like really high up on the dress form, and you're gonna just use one pin and secure it down. You're gonna find where the waistline is. So on my dress form, it's kind of marked up here. This is where the waistline is. I take the fabric and I pull it out and just press it against the mannequin. Then you take the pins and put the pins where the waistline is. I'll bring y'all closer because this needs to be up and personal. Another thing is you kind of need a fabric. The reason why I say muslin and it's a fabric that's kind of like muslin because you need something that's also a bit see-through so you can see the lines. Anyways, I'm just gonna do the same thing I did, but just bring it a bit higher. We're gonna pull her a bit tight, make it smooth, and then add the 2 pins close to the style line. We're trying to get this as smooth as possible. We'll adjust it as we go later, but now that I have kind of 4 pins on here, I'm gonna trim this because it's a bit too much fabric. I'll trim it more, but I just don't want to trim too close to it because it might deplete the amount of fabric that I have to work with. We're gonna snip the sides on where the pins are just to release some tension in the fabric. Just don't snip it too far in, but you want to get it pretty close to the style lines. And then we're gonna do the same thing we did with these. We're gonna pull tight, make sure it's flat, make sure everything is smooth, then add pins. And I'm just gonna add more pins where it's needed. So like it was a bit loose up here, so I'm just gonna add more. We're gonna release some more of the tension. We're gonna again try to get this as smooth and as flat as possible and pin where you kind of need to pin. So like I'm pulling up this way, I'm saying okay, this is smooth, I'm gonna pin up here because that's where, you know, I'm pulling. Pull, smooth out, pin. So now that we have this smooth and done already, I forgot the other thing you need would be like a fabric Sharpie. I'm gonna take this and we're gonna outline where you see the style lines. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it so you can get the general shape of the first pattern piece. I'm gonna mark where the waistline is for my notches. we're gonna label what this pattern piece is. So this pattern piece is in the front and it's in the center. So it's gonna be the front center. I don't write out the full front center. I just write FC, so I know it's front center. And I write out how many I'm gonna cut out. So I'm just gonna say lining cut 2. But this is pattern piece number 1. Sorry, there's a lot going on. So I labeled what it is. It's the front center. I label how much I want to cut out of this pattern and what number the pattern is. Now we're gonna move on to the next one. I'll show you again and then we'll do this up here. This one is the front and it's on the side, so it'd be the the front, side, front, whatever. Since this is on the side, this would be the side front piece of the pattern. I'm just gonna write SF, side front, and my initials. How many do I want to cut out? Cut 2, and then this is number 2, pattern piece 2. So yeah, that's kind of pattern out on the mannequin, and you would just continue this on all the sides. This is just mostly because it's such a curve. It's a lot of pins, a lot of cutting to make sure there's no puckering, and just trying to get it as smooth as possible. Hello, it's the next day. We are just gonna continue with this tutorial. So the next step would be step 3. We're gonna talk about the material you would need, the tools you would need to like pattern out stuff. Okay, so you need obviously the pattern pieces from your dress form that you already have. We need a rotary cutter. This one I got from Joann Fabrics, but you can probably get one online somewhere. I would try to find one that has really like good teeth on it. This one it's okay. I should probably get a different one. Pattern paper, just some type of pattern paper. Even if you want to like tape some paper together to make a big piece of paper. But I get my pattern paper off Amazon. It comes in like a big rolls. But yeah, pattern paper, some different types of rulers. I'd say the one ruler you would definitely need is just like a straight edge ruler, nothing special. A curved ruler, this helps obviously get smooth lines whenever there's curves on your pattern pieces. And then a hip curve ruler, it's just like slightly curved for slightly curved sides on your patterns. Obviously some scissors, some type of writing utensil, something to weigh your pattern pieces down. I use old perfume bottles that I had. Let's get started. I'm just gonna talk through how I would pattern this out and like the steps I would take, and then yeah. So we have our pattern piece. This is the front center. We're gonna use my weights to hold down the pattern so it just doesn't move whenever we're trying to work with it. First step of patterning, you're gonna take your rotary cutter and you're gonna press pretty hard, and you're just gonna like trace as much as possible all around. You go to lift up the pattern piece, it's gonna leave ridges on the pattern paper. So it leaves ridges on the pattern paper, and then you would trace those ridges. But let's finish this and then I'll show. Don't forget to also mark your notches on the side of your pattern papers. And then we take the pattern draping off. I like to leave it on the side so I know what I'm working with. You probably will not be able to see on the camera like ridges on the paper. Since my rotary cutter is literally not that good, I have to take my like book reading light and shine upon the paper, and so I can see the ridges, and then I would just like trace where the ridges are. I like to try to remember to hit all the corners so I like can see the full thing, but I guess I forgot to do right here. That's my bad, but I can still figure it out. We're gonna take the rulers that we have and just clean up the lines, make them full lines instead of dashes. Here I can tell it's a really big curve that my ruler and my hip curve ruler isn't gonna take. You could use this ruler, but you're just gonna have to be, it's gonna be a lot of like small adjustments to get that curve. Trace her down, period. And I just do that all the way around using whatever ruler I think fits best. So now that we have this base done, we're gonna add seam allowance. When I add seam allowance, I always add a 1/2 inch, but you can do to whatever your heart's desire. You can add a 4, 3/4, whatever, but personally me, it's always a 1/2 inch, so mark a 1/2 inch the whole way around. Okay, we're gonna extend these notches. Oh, by the way, notches are so like whenever you're going to cut out the fabric, you kind of like snip where you mark the notches, and then whenever you go to sew the fabric together, you line up the notches on all your pattern pieces. And then yeah, and after this you're basically done, and you just have to cut out the whole thing around. Ta-da! This is the pattern piece you're gonna use to cut out the normal fabric. I'm just gonna show you one more time on the broad cut pattern piece, and then we'll go from there. So we have this girl right here. And now we have this one pattern piece done to be cut out with the other pattern, with the other fabric. But yeah, I'm not gonna show me patterning every single one because it's just gonna get repetitive. So we're gonna time lapse this so it move a little bit quicker. Yeah. Okay, we went from this to this, and now we have patterns. That is my tutorial, I guess, or how I would pattern out from my dress form. That's everything. I am in another video, I'm gonna actually like make something out of this pattern. I don't think this video is gonna be either way too long. I just don't think I want to put me making the dress in this video because I kind of want to keep this like tutorial, you know. If you think this tutorial was helpful, or even if you know more than I do, put in the comments if you think this is helpful, if you have any tips for other people or even for me. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and yeah, comment, and follow me on my socials down in the description. And yeah, bye. Part 2 is coming in 2 weeks. Part 2 is coming in 2 weeks.